But my first question, have you ever heard of Immaculate Constellation?
I heard of it this week. I have not heard of it before that.
No, that's fair enough. But does it surprise you at all that there could be this umbrella group that has access to all this materials, crash retrievals, and reverse engineering? Does that surprise you?
I mean, no, because there is a lot of SAP programs that I am very much unaware of. I tell people that ignorance is bliss. I'm happy to not be read into them. So no, it totally doesn't surprise me that I mean, we kind of have known of it already, right? That's been out in the news for a few years. So it kind of makes sense. So yeah, kudos to the whistleblower.
Yeah. But what did it ever come up in conversation during any of your work meetings or the investigations you were doing? Did you ever speculate between yourselves?
Yeah, that's a good question. So no, when I supported the task force, it was from just like a small little narrow corner of what happened, of what went on. And so I supported it from NGA, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, and the the NGA. So we joke that the I is silent because it's hyphenated. Um, but it was a very narrow. I don't even know if you'd say a niche, but maybe that's the right word for right now. Um, so I was not ready to do a program. I just had regular access and was provided data to look at, and then I sent it back.
Right. So you weren't reporting directly to like the head of the UAP task force or anything like that. It was more just supporting from your other agency.
Correct. Yeah, never met Stratton. Never met any of the leads, other than I don't even know if I actually met the NGA lead in person. Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think I did. I think it was just an email and on phone calls and probably virtual meetings. That's actually funny. I just realized that.
So during your tenure supporting the task force, were you there when Jay Stratton was the lead, or Brennan McKiernan, or how long were you there, and who did that kind of leadership change?
I don't. That's a good question too. I don't know. I want to say Stratton was the lead, but I don't quote me on that because I just reported to my MGA team, so I never. I honestly was just so excited to be a part of the club and to be able to help and to contribute in a positive way that I don't, yeah, I didn't even ask who all this was going to.
No, that's fair enough. And for anybody watching or listening to this, if you want to learn a bit more about how Sarah kind of got the job and her career, I'd recommend watching Matt Ford's interview because she goes into that in a lot more detail. I'm trying not, again, like I said at the start, trying not to repeat too many things from that interview. Now, in your day-to-day duties for the UAP task force or supporting them, was this your full-time job at that time, or were you doing a little bit of UAP for the task force and then working on other things for NGA, right?
Yeah, correct. It was definitely not my full-time job. It never was my full-time job. I can't remember the percentage that I was allotted to that my deputy director allowed to work. I want to say it was like 15% a week or something like that. So I still ran my own uh, kind of a program and my own projects. I guess projects is the better word because I was in the research directorate, so we did program management, project management there. So that was, yeah, 10 to once in a while 20% of my time, but it rarely got to 20%.
Right, understood. And so, what was it? If you were doing some work on UAP, was your main role analyzing video, or were there other aspects as well?
Yeah, NGA is specializes in doing imagery analysis and also FMV, full motion video, so unmanned aircraft like drones. And so I was able to look at a lot of imagery, and I have a lot of different phenomenologies in my background, phenomenologies being from different sensors. So electro-optical, EO, which is like the pictures that your cell phone comes, that type of photos, and then synthetic aperture radar, SAR imagery, just kind of blurry, kind of like sonar on a boat. So I looked at mostly photos and then also was able to look at videos.
Excellent. So you were seeing videos in the infrared and things like that?
Yes, so I was not a thermal expert, so I usually would provide an opinion and then punt that over to those experts.
Right, wonderful. Now, there's been a few videos mentioned in the last few years by people such as Lou Elizondo, who've given us some details of videos that still remain classified for whatever reason. And I just wondered if I could mention a couple to see if you can talk about them in any light, or if you've seen them, things like that. So there was always this. We were made to believe that there's at least an image of a triangle-shaped object that had exited the ocean and was flying vertically, in our atmosphere. It's this elusive image. Does it exist? Does it not? Are you aware of anything like that?
Yes, I am.
So you will have seen that actual
I can
image.
I can confirm that my eyeballs have seen that.
Excellent. Okay. Did you analyze it, or did you get any as the task force? Did they come to any conclusion on that?
So Lou's program was prior to task force days, and so by the time I came along, that had already been analyzed and done, and I wasn't really looking at any of the legacy videos to analyze them or anything because government tax dollars has already been used to analyze them. So I didn't spend a lot of time looking at them.
But you had access to them through your clearance and the systems that, like the servers where they may have resided. Right. The next one I want to talk about is this infamous 23-minute video that Lou Elizondo again has spoken about in the past few years. And I want to read this small segment from his book Imminent. And he says, unexplainably, the dots began to fly in a regimented formation, a perfect triangle. As the dots approached the predator, they became more distinguishable. They were not only flying, but were solid in structure. For 23 minutes, these craft tormented the predator. They traversed 60 miles in the blink of an eye, traveling to the horizon, only to dart back and shadow the predator within a few hundred feet. If that were not amazing enough, the three craft would routinely reorient themselves, switching from a wedge formation to a linear formation. As they danced across the sky, they appeared to be toying with our predator. I mean, something like that sounds completely anomalous. Did you see the video?
I did not see that one, but I have seen, I'll call it playful maneuvering. And I say playful because I'm not a pilot. I'm sure if you're a pilot and you're in this seat, that's not going to be playful to you. But I'm saying playful from my safe, comfy chair in my office.
No, I understand. That makes perfect sense. So, and were these orbs that you'd seen, or are we talking, discs and triangles, all sort of the various shapes?
The ones I'm talking about weren't great quality of video, so to me it looked like um, orbs, balls type thing in the air, just because of the quality of the data wasn't the best. But you could it it was a playful maneuvering for sure.
Right. And did these objects show any sign of conventional propulsion?
I mean, the sudden changes of movement, the things that has been heard a lot over the years of G forces being suddenly changed and physics that we don't understand. Yeah, it's unexplainable on what it could be. It's not birds. Birds don't maneuver like that. A lot of our videos did have birds as the solution or the answer to what we were looking at, but in some cases they weren't.
Yeah, I'd imagine that's going to be the case. Um, Now, back in I think 2019, there was a group of Navy ships out, I think, off the west coast, and they were swarmed over many nights by mysterious UAP or what were considered to be drones that we've never really kind of heard any kind of conclusion or anything from. Are you aware of that incident at all?
You said 2019?
I think it was 2019, the Navy ships. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's probably the reason why I was starting to do some work whenever the COVID shutdown happened, because I was getting ready to do some projects that involved the Navy. So I don't recall knowing of that at the time. So 2019 was when I was pretty new on the force.
Right. So were there any incidents similar to that where it was, involving ships? We obviously know of the Nimitz incident, but were there any others that came up where it was routine that, you'd see objects around these nuclear capabilities?
I will speak of this from not from work, 'cause I can't comment about it from work, but I will say from personal friends of mine, they have had encounters. Good friend of mine was in the Navy and saw a lot of things when he was in the Philippines, and they would send aircraft out to investigate and never actually end up locking anything, but they were different colored objects, including stuff that would show up on their radar.
Wow, that's amazing. And so did you, with all the videos I think you mentioned that you'd seen in the hundreds, did you see the full gamut of shapes, like discs, triangles, tic tacs at all?
I I did. It's really hard 'cause my science brain is uh I don't like how we don't have the best quality of data. The public is frustrated with that, and we are too. So, um, yes, I did see different shapes, but also I don't know if it was because of the poor pixel value or the distance, or because they're so fast. There's like a thermal shadow that might be on like a FLIR video or thermal video, and yes, I saw different shapes, and sometimes it didn't seem like they might not be the right shape, or they might even change shapes.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, we've heard that before, certainly. But would you say that there was definitely enough evidence, video evidence, to convince you that what you were looking at in maybe a small number of cases represented something that probably wouldn't have been made by man?
Absolutely, we are not alone. Mhm.
So, what do you think we're dealing with then? If it's a non-human intelligence, do you have any? And this is obviously pure speculation, unless you know more. Of the origin of these objects. What would your belief be?
I joked with people that, Earth I've even joked with my undergrad. So for those that don't know, my undergrad is in astrophysics and my master's is in countering weapons of mass destruction. So in my undergrad, I always told people when they would ask if we were alone here, and I say, "No, why are we selfish enough to think of infinite amount of space for us just being here?" So where they're coming from, I mean, pick a direction in the sky. There's infinite amount of space that they understand physics way beyond what we can. And so it's kind of exciting to think that whatever we're doing here is worth a visit, or maybe not exciting, maybe scary. I don't know.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, I guess we don't know the intent of why they're here, but do you kind of subscribe more to the extraterrestrial hypothesis that they're traveling here from potentially deep space, other planets? Because then on the flip side, we have the interdimensional theory, and then we have what I guess what some would call the crypto-terrestrial theory, where they're from here and they've always been here. Maybe they reside outside of our senses, or they just plain hide in the water and things like that. Where do you go with that?
I think that thought process changes a lot. I am a scientist, and so the more data I get, my opinion might change. So, for Earth isn't new. We've had a reboot a few times. Dinosaurs went bye-bye, and so we've had a few reboots. So, who's not to say, like, maybe we originated from aliens? But astronomy 101 teaches you we are made of stars. Stars exploded billions of years ago for Earth to be created, for us to be here. Stars are a part of our DNA. So yeah, maybe we do have a little bit of that alien gene in us, and we just don't know which splice of our DNA that is. But there, to me, it's like humanity. We're so diverse. We're such a beautiful species of everybody looking different, our different accents. Like once in a while, my Missouri comes out, and I will have an accent. I think of that with space too. Like how can there not be diversity out there as well?
Yeah, no, for sure. And what are your thoughts on the potential that these objects had been visiting us for millennia? Is that something that you think makes sense?
Um, yeah, I think so. I've joked with people as well that Earth is kind of like a zoo, and they come in and check on us and see what we're doing, see if we exploded at each other yet, or imploded, or rock flying through space, and then pop out. So I kind of like that thought. Like we're a Disney World to them. They come and ride around a bit and then take out or take off. Um,
Um, Now let's just switch slightly back to the UAPs, if you don't mind. Obviously, we know that David Grush supported and worked with the UAP Task Force as well. Did you ever come across David, speak to him, work with him in any way, shape, or form?
No, I did not. He was in a different part of the country, so we weren't even in the same time zone, and he supported from a different agency as well. And I want to say he started around the time when I left. I don't remember his dates that he started, but no, I never got to know him. But I know other people who were on the task force who knew him.
So did you because you were all, or not all, but a lot of you were from different agencies supporting the task force from different locations in the country and that, did you ever have any physical meetings, where you would actually kind of come together, put your heads together and talk about UAP?
Yeah, I was never a part of any physical where I was in a room with people. They were always virtual calls. We were from all over. Um, Trying to think. Yeah, I don't think I ever even met the NGA lead in person. I'm pretty certain I didn't.
So going back to when you say, you were analyzing this data that was, sent to you, when you did find something that you thought was genuinely anomalous, did you feel any kind of ontological shock whatsoever, or were you already kind of beyond that?
Y'all gonna laugh at this. There was my first video I got. I mean, I, I one thing about me, I do speak the truth, and as silly as it is, I have, I guess, no shame. I'm a very open person, but this is what happened. The very first video I ever saw, where there was, within watching it for a few seconds, I knew it wasn't from here.
Can you
I
say
found
why you
myself,
knew that?
um, shape, maneuverability, um, flight pattern, just wasn't from here. And there was just this thing in my gut feeling, and I found myself waving hello to my monitor, just like a greeting, right? Like, oh hey, welcome to Earth. We got you.